Yeah, I don't know, finding no support is pretty heavy duty. So we always have a view of positive that our life is about testing. So people's understanding of having support and not having support is, if no support you become overwhelmed by shaitan. In everything you do shaitan will affect you and make you to make every horrible choice, every type of horrific character. So not having support means that shaitan free to do what he wants with you. Having testing is the way of rijal. People whom are mature in the way of religion, they're going to be tested. But other people equate testing with not being favoured by God. So that's is incorrect. Life is about testing. So to think that we have no support is fairly negative. You have enough support to be watching tonight, and all of us have enough support to be watching, to be listening, to be trying, to do things. But are we all tested? Definitely. And continuous testing, continuous spiritual attacks and all sorts of things happening. Believers now they end up all of a sudden in the middle of war zone, and have to pray that their faith is strong, that they have a strong connection to Prophet and that they can get out of that difficulty. Right now there's no permission for people to travel alone without their family, because you're going to be ending up without your family. You end up in a difficult situation, you can't get back, you can't get a flight out, and you will be where you are and your family will be separate from you, and that becomes even more difficult because no one there to protect them, to watch over them. So this is not a time in which to go sightseeing. These are times in which to stay right where you are, do your worshipness, take care of your family, do your practices. Very, very difficult times. But people always feel that these things are far away and not relevant to themselves. But nothing is far away from everyone. Right now immense difficulties. Anyone want to understand the world, follow the money. Don't listen to your garbage news channels, especially in Southeast Asia. It's a flow of infinite garbage. Follow money if you want to know what's happening. So what Allah's currency is what? Allah's acknowledged currency of value from Holy Qur'an is gold. So look at what happens to the price of gold in life. Why? Because not the politics but the people whom love their dunya beyond belief, which we call banks. They cherish gold. They give you worthless paper but they hold gold. All over the world they're rushing to get gold, not paper gold where some stock exchange says, here buy this gold and we'll give you this certificate on paper and you'll never be able to actually hold the gold. Actual gold prices, and you see it's now skyrocketing. Why? Because people thinking, well if the wars break out nothing else has value, not digital, not paper. It's funny that digital go up, especially if the power goes out, so what would digital do? And if they convert people's wealth entirely to digital and turn off the power, then completely wiped out. But the people who know, they have gold, and those are the big money institutions, gold. So these things that are happening in life, we're not a political people but we're people of realities. Means political is to listen to one side and then listen to another side and then take what one person is saying is his story, which they call history, and say, well the history, his story, and then his story, and he says his story is right and that story is right. All of it is a lie, and the only thing right is what's happening with the money. What's happening now in those regions is China wants Baluchistan, and this is for their interest in Baluchistan. That's money. They don't care for Pakistan, they don't care for Muslim people, they care for Baluchistan. And other people not gonna let that happen. So they have to interfere with Pakistan and make people to fight each other. So this is money and money trade. And the people whom Humaza, Surah Al-Humaza describes the people who come together and divide up the earth. These are these people whom they have vast wealth and vast authority and they're battling. And if anyone has played chess, you know Shatranj, why it's such an important game. Your back line are your important figures, king, queen, then they have the knight and we have different words. There's more based on a different belief system when they say bishop but we have different Islamic words for these pieces. But the back pieces are the important ones. So when you first learn chess, what happens? They teach you move the invaluable ones first. So your goal is to take over the other side, but you don't bring out your valued pieces, you bring out what you view to be invaluable, and those pieces you move them across the board. And oh, this one went and this one went and this one went, until the big pieces at the end they will begin to come out. So these are all the small pieces now. So the back row is controlling what they call pawns. Why they call them pawns? Because these are the little pieces that they control. So each one who controls one of these in their chessboard game, and the chessboard looks like maybe in 4 or 5 directions. They put the little ones out, they don't have a value, but to Allah everything, all His creation has a value. So this is the danger when someone doesn't know their value and who they are. They become a pawn in somebody else's game. So in the last days then the hikmah and reality of awliya, because their firasat is very far, very strong. Even bizarre ulama, they're from the dunya scholars, even they think they represent akhirah, their advice and firasat seems to be very dunya oriented, talking, yelling from one pawn to the another pawn and telling the pawn, hey you're like this, and the other pawn, hey you're like that, making ridiculous comments and agitating and aggravating the board. And it only shows that you can't see past your nose of what's really happening. And the danger is that there's a big game being played and these are only the small pieces. So the advice to small pieces is keep your cover, keep your good character, try to stay out of the fitna of these big pieces, but most likely you won't and your desires overwhelm you. But scholars of reality should understand the game that's being played, and as a result they warn their students, stay out of everything, don't make comments, keep your mouth shut, keep to yourself, perfect yourself, take care of your family, be loyal to your community and good deeds and good works, so that to save yourself from the game that's being played. And if you want to know how serious the game is, watch the goal. Everything else going to collapse because they move that money, that's the only real money to them. And this is mentioned in Qur'an, gold and silver and jewels and precious stones. So this is one indication of how to understand what the people of dunya, the people of power of dunya, what their belief is. When they're scared they're gonna grab it and they're gonna then make the price go up, even when they try to hold the price of gold down. So even if gold is selling at $3,500 in the US, it's actually probably $10,000. They don't even have enough gold for the contracts, the papers they have sold. So these are the times in which to follow the guidance of the heavens, have good character, stay out of politics and making comments. You're making comments from the seats of the pawns, you're not in the back seat, you're not in the box seat of any importance, you're just a pawn on the front line making ridiculous comments. And what happens in these games? All the pawns go. So this is a time of immense danger. People stay with their families, don't travel, have your supplies and do good deeds and good actions, especially in regions that are in these hot areas. Southeast Asia, Middle East countries, these areas are very heated areas. These are the places of the ponds. But the real board, it's somewhere else, the powers. So Allah guide people towards heavenly advice and heavenly guidance, and to be under the authority of heavenly guidance. When you leave the shelter of heavenly guidance and start doing everything you want, say everything you want, you've left an umbrella of protection. And what rains down upon the heads of people is the azab of men whom have no mercy in their hearts, inshaAllah.